The stars above the nebula gate shimmered with cold light. It was a border zone, quiet and distant, but every ship in the Galactic Empire's fleet knew that silence never lasted long in war. Admiral Kaylor stood on the command deck of the flagship Eternal Wrath. His uniform gleamed, his eyes sharp and full of arrogance. Around him, hundreds of officers worked at glowing control panels, their hands moving in perfect rhythm. The Empire had gathered more than 2,000 warships in this sector, ready to crush a rebel uprising on the outer rim. Kaylor believed it would be easy. Nothing had ever challenged the Empire in centuries. The galaxy belonged to them. Still, something about the stars tonight felt wrong. The void beyond the nebula looked too still, too calm, as if holding its breath. A young officer broke the silence. "Sir, we are detecting faint gravity distortions near grid sector 7A. Kaylor frowned. "A cloaked ship?" "Possibly, Admiral. But the readings are unstable. It could be interference from the nebula's magnetic field." Kaylor gave a cold smile. "The rebels do not have cloaking technology. Increase scans and maintain formation." He turned away, watching the holographic display of the battlefield. Blue dots, Empire ships, formed a perfect line. There were no red dots, no sign of any enemy. Minutes passed. The hum of engines filled the air, the crew relaxed, the only sound came from distant machinery and the low whisper of life support systems. Then the lights flickered. Once, twice. "Power fluctuation," someone called out. "Possible interference from the nebula." Kaylor's eyes narrowed. "Interference again. We built this fleet to command the stars, not fear clouds of gas." He was about to order a diagnostic when the ship's sensors screamed, a sharp alarm that echoed through every deck. "Admiral, massive gravitational spike. Something is forming right ahead of us." Kaylor rushed to the window. Outside, the stars twisted. Space itself began to bend, rippling like liquid glass. "What is that?" the Admiral demanded. "Unknown. Sir, it's a localized space distortion." And then everything went silent. The alarms cut off. The engines hummed faintly. The entire fleet seemed frozen. From the center of the distortion, darkness poured out, thick, heavy, and unnatural. A shadow began to take shape. It grew larger and larger until its outline blocked half the stars. Metal emerged from the void, black, cold, and enormous. A ship. No, not just a ship, a fortress. Its hull reflected no light. Strange white letters glowed faintly across its surface, written in a language no one had seen in centuries. The bridge crew stared in horror. Kaylor's voice dropped to a whisper. What am I looking at?" The communications officer trembled. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission." Kaylor barked, "Play it!" Static filled the room. Then a deep human voice echoed through the speakers. "This is the human battleship Nemesis. You are trespassing near forbidden space. Stand down or be erased." Every officer turned pale. The word human hit like a bullet. Humans were supposed to be gone, extinct. The Empire had destroyed them centuries ago, burned their worlds and erased their history. Kaylor's mouth went dry. This is some kind of trick. It must be rebels using old myths to scare us. But deep inside, he knew the voice was real. There was something in its tone, calm, steady, and confident. The kind of confidence that only came from absolute power. "Sir, their weapon systems are charging!" shouted the tactical officer. Kaylor snapped back to command. "Raise shields! Prepare all batteries! Fire at will!" The fleet lit up the void with plasma fire. Blue and red bolts streaked across the stars, hitting the black surface of the human ship. Nothing happened. The Nemesis did not move. Its hull shimmered faintly, absorbing the energy like mist swallowing light. Then, from its front, a long barrel extended, a railgun the size of a city. Its surface crackled with electric arcs, building power faster than any weapon the Empire had ever seen. Gaylor's heart pounded. He realized too late what he was facing. "Evade!" he shouted, but it was already too late. The railgun fired. A beam of pure white light tore through the darkness. It passed silently through 3 Empire cruisers, cutting them apart as if they were paper. Explosions blossomed like dying stars. The shockwave rattled every ship in the formation. On the eternal wrath, Kaylor held onto the command rail, staring at the screen in disbelief. Thousands of lives had vanished in seconds. He turned to his officers, rage and fear mixing in his voice. "Target that ship! Destroy it now!" But even as he shouted, another officer whispered, "Admiral, the Nemesis is gone." "What do you mean, gone?" "It vanished, sir. Cloaked again. No trace on any sensors." Silence filled the bridge. The Empire's most powerful fleet stood surrounded by debris and drifting wreckage, firing blindly into the dark. Kaylor's hands trembled. He felt the same emotion his ancestors once felt when they faced humans in war. Fear. He lowered his voice. "Send a message to the Emperor. Tell him, humanity still exists." Outside, the Nebula Gate burned with wreckage. The shadow of the Nemesis drifted unseen, silent and patient. Inside its black hull, Captain Elias Ward watched the Empire's fleet scatter like frightened insects. He said nothing, only whispered to his crew, "Message delivered." The human battleship turned slowly and vanished back into the void, leaving behind a galaxy that would never sleep peacefully again. Far away from the Nebula Gate, hidden behind clouds of dust and broken asteroids, the human battleship Nemesis floated in silence. Its black hull was marked with glowing white lines that pulsed like veins under skin. Inside, the crew worked quietly, their movements smooth and precise. They were not an army born of greed or empire. They were survivors. Captain Elias Ward stood on the command deck, looking out into the stars. His reflection on the glass looked older than his age. He had seen too much war, too much death. For him, this battle had not been about victory. It had been a warning. "Status of the fleet?" he asked. A calm voice answered from the ship's AI core. "All systems stable. Cloak recharged. No pursuit detected." Elias nodded slowly. The crew around him waited for his next command. He turned to them. "We are not ghosts," he said. "Not anymore. For centuries, the galaxy believed humanity was gone. But humans had not died. They had escaped. After the Empire's great purge, the last survivors had fled into the uncharted zones, far beyond mapped space. There, in silence, they rebuilt. They learned to merge mind with machine, to hide their fleets in dark space, and to survive in the cold void. Children grew up hearing stories of lost Earth, the blue world that had burned. Those stories became fuel for one mission: to return, not as victims, but as proof that humanity could never be erased. The Nemesis had been the first of the reclamation fleet, a creation of both flesh and steel. Its crew were descendants of refugees, their bodies enhanced by nanotech, their minds linked with the ship's AI network. They did not serve kings or gods. They served the memory of home. Elias looked at a holographic image, a small, faded photo of Earth's oceans. "We waited too long," he whispered. "Now the stars will remember who we are." Suddenly, a red light blinked on the main console. "Captain, long-range scanners picking up Imperial transmissions," said Lieutenant Mira, the ship's navigator. Elias's eyes narrowed. "Patch them through." The sound of chaos filled the bridge. Empire distress calls, orders to retreat, screams of disbelief. Words repeated again and again through the static. Human battleship, unknown technology, catastrophic losses. The Empire was in panic. Elias turned away from the screen. Good, let them remember fear. He walked to the center of the deck, his boots echoing on metal. "Mira, plot a course to Vector 9. We return to the others." "Yes, Captain. The ship's engines hummed, and the Nemesis vanished into its cloak once again, leaving nothing behind but a ripple in space. At the edge of a dying star, deep in a hidden system, hundreds of human warships waited in the dark. They were enormous, each one a silent city floating in the void. As the Nemesis arrived, a signal spread through the fleet. The enemy has seen us. The command hub came alive with light. Holographic figures appeared, other captains, other survivors. They were scattered descendants of Earth's fallen nations, soldiers, engineers, colonists. Each ship carried a different flag, but all flew under one mark now, the symbol of a burning world reborn. Elias stepped into the center of the projection. The Empire knows we exist. The Nebula Gate is destroyed. They will come. A captain with scarred eyes leaned forward. Then we strike before they recover. Another voice, calmer, interrupted. Or we wait. The Empire will tear itself apart from fear. Let them chase shadows. Elias raised his hand. Both are right, but we did not come for conquest. We came to remind them that humanity endures. He looked around at the faces before him. We have technology they do not understand. We have hearts they cannot break, but we must choose wisely. Our next action will decide how the galaxy remembers us. Silence followed. Then the council voted. They would not destroy the Empire, not yet. Instead, they would reveal their presence to the stars, one system at a time. Back aboard the Nemesis, Mira asked softly, "Do you think they will listen, Captain?" Elias smiled faintly. The Empire? No, power never listens until it bleeds. He turned toward the viewport again. The stars stretched endlessly before them, each one a reminder of humanity's long exile. But the people, he said, the slaves, the miners, the forgotten worlds, they will hear. They always do. As the Nemesis drifted forward, a soft hum filled the bridge. The AI spoke again, its voice calm and almost human. "Captain, the crew asks if this means we return home." Elias looked at the stars one last time. "Home is wherever we stand and fight." The Nemesis vanished into darkness once more, a shadow moving through the endless void. Behind it, the echo of ancient vengeance spread through the stars. Humanity had returned. News of the human battleship Nemesis tore through the galaxy faster than any light signal could travel. Every transmission tower, every comms satellite, and every Imperial station repeated the same broken message. Unidentified vessel, human origin, Empire fleet destroyed at Nebula Gate. At first, no one believed it. The Empire's propaganda networks called it a hoax, a rebel illusion meant to spark panic. But when wreckage from the destroyed fleet began drifting into Imperial sectors, the truth became impossible to deny. Entire systems went silent. Colonies that once boasted of the Empire's strength now whispered in fear. Soldiers in the Outer Rim refused orders to patrol deep space. Captains claimed they saw shadows moving between stars, reflections that were not there one second and gone the next. Every rumor ended the same way. They're back. The humans have returned. On the Imperial capital, the Grand Council gathered in their golden chamber. The Emperor sat on a high throne, his face hidden behind a mask of iron. Before him, Admiral Kaelor stood pale and trembling. The great warrior who once commanded thousands of ships now looked broken. He knelt, voice shaking. "Your Majesty, I witnessed it with my own eyes. One ship, one human battleship, destroyed half the fleet in minutes. Their technology is beyond understanding. We could not even lock our sensors on it." The Emperor's voice was cold. "You call yourself a commander and bring me fear instead of victory." Kaelor raised his head. "This is not fear, my lord. It is warning. If one ship can do this, imagine how many they truly have." The chamber filled with murmurs. Some council members laughed in disbelief. Others whispered nervously, remembering the old stories, the wars of extinction, the fall of Earth. The Emperor lifted his hand. The room went silent. "Then we will remind them who rules this galaxy," he said. "Summon every fleet. Activate the Dreadfire Protocol. I want humanity hunted, no matter where they hide. Kalo tried to speak, but the guards dragged him away. The order was given. The Empire would go to war again, against ghosts that refused to stay dead. Far from the capital, the Nemesis glided through the dark, invisible to scanners. Inside, Captain Elias Ward stood with his crew, watching intercepted Imperial broadcasts. He saw the panic, the threats, the desperate speeches. He could almost hear the fear between their words. "Looks like we've shaken their empire to its core," said Lieutenant Mira with a faint smile. Elias didn't smile back. "Fear makes them dangerous. They'll burn every world just to find us." The AI core spoke in its calm, steady tone. "Captain, should we continue with Phase 2? Elias nodded. "Yes, but not here. We'll strike at their edges, make them question every shadow." The ship began to move again, its engines silent, its form fading from sight. Across the galaxy, strange events began to happen. An entire Imperial convoy vanished near the Black Rift. A shipyard was found empty, its engineers missing. A listening post recorded a single message before going offline. "We remember, we endure. Humanity never dies." In less than a week, the mighty Galactic Empire began to fracture under its own fear. Some governors cut communication with the capital. Others declared neutrality, unwilling to anger an enemy they could not even see. The name human became a warning whispered between soldiers. The younger ones asked if humans were real. The older ones said they'd seen the old wars, the way humanity fought not for glory, but for survival, and that was what made them unstoppable. Meanwhile, on the hidden human world of Eidolon, the rest of the reclamation fleet gathered. Cities under domes glowed faintly under the dark sky. The people watched the stars, knowing the Empire now feared them again. Commander Serra, a strategist from another ship, spoke to Elias through a hologram. "You've made your point, Captain. The galaxy is trembling. But what now?" Elias looked calm, though his eyes carried the weight of centuries. "Now," he said, "we make them listen." Serra frowned. "You think the Empire can be reasoned with?" "No," Elias replied softly. "But the people under them can. We will not conquer, we will awaken." Outside, the fleet shimmered into position. Battleships cloaked, ready to strike or vanish at command. Humanity had become the nightmare the Empire once tried to erase, and now that nightmare was spreading, system by system, until every star remembered its name. The fear that once belonged to humans now belonged to the Empire. The galaxy burned in whispers before it ever burned in flame. Every world felt it, the tension, the silence between transmissions, the uneasy hum in the deep channels of space. Some said the Empire's power was cracking. Others said ghosts from ancient Earth had come back to collect their debt. But on the command deck of the human battleship Nemesis, none of that mattered to Captain Elias Ward. He stood in the dark, watching the stars drift across the glass like dust. The crew waited quietly, their faces lit by blue light. The air felt heavy, as if everyone could sense the turning point ahead. Lieutenant Mira broke the silence. "Captain, the Empire's fleets have started retreating from the outer sectors. Their propaganda calls it a strategic reposition." Elias gave a faint, tired smile. "That's a long way of saying they're afraid." The AI voice came next, soft but ever-present. "Do you wish to transmit the final message, Captain?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he walked toward the viewport, looking at a small planet far below, one of the forgotten mining colonies once enslaved by the Empire. Its cities flickered dimly under thick clouds. "They were human once," Elias said quietly. "The Empire took them, changed their DNA, told them they were something else. They forgot who they were." He turned to his officers. "It's time they remember." Mira gave a small nod. "Broadcast ready, sir." The Nemesis powered up its deep space transmitters. The pulse would echo across 1,000 systems, unstoppable. On the capital world of the Empire, the Emperor sat in his throne hall as every screen around him flickered and died. Then slowly, they came back to life, showing a man standing in the shadow of stars. "A human? Citizens of the galaxy," the voice began. "I am Captain Elias Ward of the Human Reclamation Fleet. You were told that humanity was destroyed, that Earth fell, and her people vanished. That was a lie. The room fell silent. Millions across the empire watched the same image, from mining colonies to noble palaces. For centuries, Elias continued, we waited in the dark. We rebuilt, not for revenge, but for remembrance. You called us extinct. You erased our stories. You built empires on our ashes. He paused, his eyes calm and cold. We have not come to rule. We have come to remind you of what happens when the innocent are burned and the proud forget humility. Behind him, the image shifted to the ruins of Earth. Oceans gone dry, cities turned to skeletons of steel. Then the camera turned to show the fleet, hundreds of colossal ships, silent and sharp, drifting behind him. You have feared many things in this galaxy, Elias said. Now you will remember fear as it truly feels. The transmission ended. All across Imperial space, panic erupted. Governors ordered their soldiers to prepare for invasion. Merchants hid their goods. Rebel worlds, long oppressed, cheered through tears. The legend of humanity spread faster than the Empire's control could stop it, but no invasion came. The Nemesis and its fleet did not strike. They only watched. They let the fear spread like wildfire, unopposed. Admiral Kalor, now stripped of command and locked in a prison orbiting the Emperor's moon, watched the broadcast through the bars of his cell. For the first time, he did not feel hatred. He felt awe. He whispered to himself, they are not ghosts. They are the lesson. Back aboard the Nemesis, the crew waited for orders. Should we advance, Captain? Mira asked softly. Elias shook his head. No, the message was enough. They will destroy themselves trying to fight what they cannot see. The AI flickered with curiosity. Then our mission is complete? Elias looked down at the old Earth insignia on his uniform, a faded blue circle with white stars. No, he said. Not until the truth is remembered by all. We'll go deeper. Help the lost colonies. Rebuild what we can. Humanity doesn't win by destroying. It wins by enduring. Outside, the stars shifted as the Nemesis turned toward the unknown. The ship's engines flared softly, and the vessel disappeared once more into its cloak, vanishing into the endless dark. On the Emperor's capital, the skyline trembled. The people looked up at the heavens, waiting for a strike that never came. And in that silence, they realized something terrible. The Empire had ruled for fear, but now the fear belonged to them. Centuries later, across worlds reborn, the story of the human battleship Nemesis would still be told, not as a tale of war, but as the day the galaxy was forced to remember that humanity, once cornered, does not vanish. It becomes the storm.